Welcome to the AI Automations for Business podcast. We're your hosts, Katie and Noel, and we'll be discussing how you can use AI for your business along with the latest news, updates, and automations to help you stay ahead of the curve, allowing you to grow and scale your business more efficiently. Please be sure to subscribe, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Hello, welcome back to another episode. Hello, I'm Katie, and as always, I've got my co-host here with me, Noel. Hi, Noel. How are you doing this week?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic this week. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good, thank you. So before we get into this week's episode, any AI or automation updates that we should be aware of? Because I know last episode there were quite a few.
There wasn't there?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think Claude or Anthropic were getting all their updates out before Easter, or maybe the year end, I guess.
Yeah, year end.
So, yeah, we had a flurry of stuff that we covered last week. But this week, I would say it's been quite quiet. There's been a leak of potentially what could be Claude's version 5, so called Mythos. So yeah, there's been a little leak about that. Somebody managed to find.
What have they been saying?
Well,
what's the rumor?
Well, obviously it's going to be the most powerful thing they've ever released and all that sort of stuff. But basically, somebody found an unpublished set of press articles and things like that link into this thing called Mythos on the Anthropic website. So, whoops.
Do you think someone's in trouble?
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, it was the usual. So they didn't give away any sort of any figures or anything like that. But yeah, I think we can expect that fairly soonish.
Okay,
I would hope. Yeah.
So what do you think that's going to look like? Or
it's scary. I don't really know. I mean, they always say it's going to be the most powerful. I would assume it's going to be more towards like coding, because Claude Code is absolutely crazy at the minute. It does such a good job as it does already. So I'd imagine that's only just going to get better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they've kind of got all of like the pieces together, haven't they, with all the other updates? And I think just a better model to use them would just make that so much better. But yeah, that's kind of the big sneaky news, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, to look out for when that gets released.
Yeah. Okay. So this week's episode is all about how to get started with automations.
Yeah.
And we're going to do this from like a very beginner's point of view. So if you heard lots of things about AI automations or automations in your business and you think, well, I'd love to be able to save time or be able to save money, maybe, you're kind of juggling lots of tasks, and maybe you're at that stage at the business where you would love to have like a VA, virtual assistant, but actually you can't quite afford one yet. I feel like the automations they obviously do not replace a VA by any means, but they will take some of the tasks away, off your calendar, off of your plate, and allow things as well to just flow better in your business as well, which, we all want, providing, a better customer experience, which is a win-win.
Absolutely. That's what we all want, isn't it? Better experience.
Yeah. So, like I said, we're going to go through a few different scenarios about like maybe where you can get started with automations within your service-based business. And hopefully, if you've already got these automations in place or they don't apply to you, hopefully they'll kind of like spark some ideas on like actually what you could automate in your business and how to get started. So, no, before we even get started with some of the scenarios that we've got planned that we're going to talk about, where do we even start with automations? Like, how much tech knowledge do you need? Or is it a bit like the LLMs, like ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini, where actually it's all about communication rather than your technical skills?
So, I guess in terms of like technical expertise, you don't need to understand things like how apps and APIs communicate to each other on the internet. I don't think you need that sort of deep knowledge to get you started. There's lots of no-code automation platforms out there which can connect thousands of apps into AI or, together with each other. We don't have to have AI in everything. If you just need something to go from point A to point B, you can still do that sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
There are three main no-code automation platforms, which I would suggest you looking at. So they are Zapier, N8N, and our old favorite, Make.com. And they're all kind of different in their own way. And we did an episode back in October. So that was season 1, episode 34. And we went through and we talked about all three of those platforms, pros and cons and things like that. And since then, I would say not a lot's changed.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. There's been a few bits added, but yeah, generally it's exactly the same as it used to be. So yeah, there's plenty of no-code options. You don't need to understand coding or anything super complicated. Yeah, all you really need is the ability to go off and grab like an API key from whichever platform or account that you use that you would like to connect. So as long as you can find that, you can pretty much set up anything within any of these platforms, which is really cool. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So you're going to choose which platform you want, sign up, create an account. Now, there are free accounts and there are also paid accounts for those different platforms that we talked about. Again, we do talk more about that in the episode that Noel mentioned. We will make sure we link it below in the show notes for you if you want to go and check that out after this episode. So yeah, we've signed up to the platform that we like. Where are we going next?
So I guess all of these platforms give you like a blank canvas, and which is great. You can build and connect whatever you want in whatever order you like. So, but as kind of like someone who might be new to this, that's kind of a little bit overwhelming to start off with. So what I would kind of suggest is to maybe pick something that you do repetitively that's kind of fairly straightforward to do, and then just write it out. So you're going to want to move data from application A, and then you want it to then go to application B, and then, or then on to C and D, whatever it might be. And then just write all that down so you have like a picture of what you're going to build before you try and build it. Because sometimes I think when you try and do it without having that picture to start off with, you can kind of go down all kinds of rabbit holes, and either it doesn't work or it gets super complicated. And just keep it simple to start off with is what I would suggest.
I think as well, starting from a blank canvas is very intimidating and feels very overwhelming.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you've like written down actually like I want this to go from this to this, and then when that happens I want this to go from this, and then when that happens I want this to go to this.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's also kind of on especially Make.com, I think Zapier have it as well. I think all three of them have it, but they also have like templates. So with Make.com as an example, you could go through their template library and then go, actually, though that's kind of what I was after doing, that fits what I want it to do. And then you can then just say, use the template, and it will then take you through step by step what you then need to do to then configure and get that set up. So yeah, that's also kind of a really cool way. I mean, hopefully they've got the exact one you want. I mean, that would be helpful. But
that would be amazing.
It would be. But, even if you just got off to that point and then was like, right, now I just need to add something else or remove something, then, that's kind of a really nice starting point.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. And then I guess kind of like in the future, that's kind of changing as well, isn't it? We've got there is some more conversational stuff coming to help you get started. So Make.com have got Yeah, so they got Maya that's coming out soon-ish. So you'll be able to just chat with it and say, well, this is what I want to connect in what order, and it will then go off and guide you through that process. N8N have something similar already to help you do that. So that sort of help is coming soon as well. So if you're completely new, you get a bit lost, then yeah, those sort of tools will be available very soon.
Perfect. Okay, so shall we go through and talk about some of the automation examples that we have, and then how we would build them out as well?
Yeah, absolutely, we can do that. Yeah, I guess the first one on our list is to do with like managing bookings.
Yeah.
And so let's say you've got a website form and you then get like an email gets sent to you for, saying this person's booked in for, or interested in your service.
Yeah,
so,
let's say that someone's interested in, let's say, like some coaching with you, or, having a consultation with you. And yeah, they've come through via the website form.
Yep. So you would get that generally to your email. So what we can do is we can connect pretty much any email account into make.com. They're all the main ones, like your Gmails, your Outlooks, all of those sort of ones are already pre-built in to the platform. So I would say we'd start off with that module first. And what I would also do is, especially for emails, is maybe set up like an automation rule within your inbox. So you know where that's going to come from in the subject title. So then just create a folder within that email account, which, so every time that comes in, it goes in that folder. So
Yeah,
that would make... Exactly, yeah. And that would make your automation life a lot more easier, because you can just say in the Google or the Gmail module or Outlook, just look in that folder. If something new comes in that folder, do something. So you're not just going to start processing any random newsletter emails that come through. Like we don't want those. So yeah, that's kind of where I would start off with. And what I would do is, when you first start connecting like the first module, which is going to be really important because this is kind of like the start point. So I would say this is the same for every automation that I build, is, I would put that first module in place and then I would test it straight away. So all of these apps allow you to, run it once kind of thing to get the information. So we'd send an email, make sure it goes in that folder or whatever, and then run the application in your automation platform, and then see that data come through. And if that happens, we're all good. You're happy to move on at that point.
Okay, yeah. So we can go on to the next step.
Exactly, yeah. It's really important, because I used to do it where I used to build all of it and then test it, and then I'd end up it not working. So it saves a lot of time if we do that up front.
Yeah, because otherwise, if you've built all of it and then test it, it's harder to figure out what part of it's gone wrong.
Yes. Yeah, it can be, especially if it's quite complicated. If you can spend a lot of time trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Okay. So test it as you build it.
Exactly. Yeah. So I guess kind of like from like that email, where they're wanting to book in. So like Katie, you mentioned that they've got like a consultation, or maybe they're interested in one-on-one coaching, or a specific service. All of these apps allow you to provide like multiple routes. So you could have like one route which is for one service, one route for another one. So depending on what they've asked for in the form, we can filter that out. And then, after that point, we could then connect it to something like Calendly to then basically go off, send them that link to Calendly. So we're sending them the right link for the right service kind of thing. That's kind of really kind of straightforward. And then I guess after that, you would then send them the email. So you would then have like another Gmail or whatever email platform you use to then send that link with whatever text you wish. And you can then send that straight back to them. And this will run.
Yeah, and that can all be automated.
Yes. Yeah, you would never have to look at it again, hopefully. It would just happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter day or night. It'll just keep running.
And on this form, would you be able to, like, so obviously not everyone's going to qualify for for example, like a discovery call.
Mm-hmm.
So would you be able to filter out the people that don't qualify, so actually then they don't get the link to book a discovery call?
You could do, yes. You could add in a AI module in there to basically read the message, understand it, and then figure out, actually, is this person right fit? You could have like the message box, so we could give that to the AI to read it, and then that could then qualify which route they then go down within your system. So yeah, that can definitely be done. With when it comes to AI, you can attach any AI model you wish within there. So it doesn't matter if you love OpenAI or Anthropic or Gemini, whatever. You can use whatever you wish. Within any of these platforms.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so that's one part of it.
Yes. I guess like from that point which you've sent that as well, you could even go through Stripe as well. You could add that in as well. So you also then send in an invoice to then go through the booking link, or and things like that. So there's lots of different things that you could add in. It all kind of depends on what your company processes are, I guess, and how you onboard customers. But yeah, if you use like an online app, you could add it in wherever you wish.
Yeah, so you could add it. So if the discovery call was successful and someone wants to start working with you, you could then start another automation where you send the invoice, and then once the invoice is paid, it automatically sends a contract to them. Once the contract is signed, and you can then automatically send another calendar link for them to book in their call again.
Exactly, yeah. I guess kind of like with the contract inside, there are applications that allow you to build contracts and things like that, and those apps are usually within there, within Make.com or whatever. But I know some of those can actually cost quite a bit of money sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you don't have like a high throughput, then it's probably not worth it. But what you could do is link it into things like Google Docs. So you could create a formatted template within there and then send them a link to the Google Doc and things like that. So within the template, you could have like their name and things like that. Everything that they provided to you that you have access to, you could automatically input all that information. So yeah, you don't have to manually do that at any point. You could fully automate it if you wish.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to
know. Absolutely, yeah. There's lots of things you can do with it.
Yeah, so that's a really helpful automation just for sending contracts or sending calendar links. That will save a lot of time, and it's not for me, it's not a very enjoyable, repetitive task.
Yeah, it's not great, is it? But if you add all that time together, then you can just already work out how much time you're going to save straight away. If you know it's going to take you half an hour, 40 minutes to do that full process, then that's time you've won back, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a great automation that people can get started with.
Yeah.
Have you got another example for us, Noel?
So CRM automations are quite big, I would say. So when it comes to, I guess, like platforms like HubSpot and like Salesforce and things like that, so like the big CRMs, they offer, they kind of offer automations built in, but I tend to find that they're not particularly great, and then they gatekeep a lot of the functions. So you might see something online and go, "Oh, I could do that within whatever platform," and then you go to do it, and it's like, "Oh, well, no, you've got to pay another $50 a month just to do that one thing."
You've got to be like on the pro plan or something.
Exactly, yeah,
Yeah,
it's really frustrating. But what we can do with CRMs in like the no-code automation side is we have access to pretty much all of the API endpoints for those platforms. So I think like HubSpot's got hundreds of different things that you could do, within that platform.
yeah,
There's so much stuff to pick from. But what we can do is, we can outsource that automation away from that platform into that no code builder where you as the user can, build it and understand it and test it. You can see how it works and things like that. And it also gives you that extra functionality as well. So, you might not, so you shouldn't have to then pay the extra
yeah,
money. But I guess kind of like a common CRM automation is kind of lead qualification. So let's say they automatically get added in to your CRM. You could, let's say they've given you their, I don't know, like their business email or website and things like that. So you could go off and basically look up that business. You could then use AI to find out more about them and then assess against any additional information that's been added at that point. They've been added in the CRM. And then, basically start crafting like a like personalized outreach and things like that. So you could send them an email straight away to say, oh, thanks so much for signing up or whatever. We see that you do X, Y, and Z in these industries. We've got all of that from the website, and we can send back something that's hyper personalized.
yeah,
And it also would happen, I guess, almost instantaneously. I guess it depends on if you want to check it first. It's that if you want that human in the loop factor, then obviously it would take a bit of time for you to check it and then approve it. But if you had it on an automation, it could just happen within like a minute or so. So
love that.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And I
Another
think
great
people
time saver.
exactly, yeah, and it gives people a bit of not, like, I guess if you could import like a bit of a time delay, so it doesn't look like it's fully automated and you've just used AI. You
Yeah,
could have like a sleep module in make.com, which is set to like 3 minutes or whatever, or 5 minutes. So it looks like you as the business owner have actually gone on that website and, looked them up and then sent them a personalized email. So,
yeah,
so yeah, you can do that as well. But yeah, that's just a really awesome little way of doing things with like CRMs.
yeah. Okay. So 2 really good time savers so far.
Huge.
And
Yeah.
we really hope that, as we're talking and you're thinking about your own business, it's sparking off different thoughts and ideals that actually could go, oh, well, actually, I don't offer that or I don't do that, but I do this. And actually, I'm wondering if I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm really hoping that as we're talking, it's given you some food for thought.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's hope so.
Yeah. And we've got one more example, haven't we, Noel, that we
We
want to
do,
share?
yeah. So this is kind of more aimed at like content creation. So lots of businesses would use, I don't know, like scheduling platforms for social media posts. Like
Yeah.
I know, Katie, you've been using those for years.
I used to use one all the time for Twitter.
Mm.
So I used to run a Twitter chat hour, and to promote it, I would schedule out like tons of tweets every week to promote it. But I used to use a scheduler called Meet Edgar, and then when Twitter changed their like API, so you couldn't keep recycling tweets, like every tweet had to be unique, that's when I stopped actually using it, because that's what Meet Edgar was great at. You used to have like different content buckets and you would just fill it up with lots of different tweets, and then it would just like
pick and choose.
Yeah, it would pick and choose. Like you would tell it like, oh, like on Wednesday at 10 a.m. you want a tweet from this content bucket to go out, and it would, you didn't know exactly what one it was, but it would pick one. So that was what was so good about Meet Edgar. But then when Twitter changed and it was like, no, you're not allowed to recycle tweets, every tweet has to be slightly different, I was like, well, this is no longer going to work for me. Like, which is so annoying. Because at the time I was running 2 businesses, and it was just it was like a great automation for me. It really was. But yeah, and then after that, I just stopped using it. And actually, I stopped using any schedulers, because then the whole thing came in with like, oh, if I schedule a post, will it affect my organic reach? And I was finding that when I was using it on Facebook, it really dramatically changed my organic reach. So I was like, kind of like, right, okay, I'm just going back to like organically posting. But the head of Instagram, he does a Ask Me Anything every Friday on Instagram. So it comes up on his stories. So people send him their question. He probably answers about 5 or 6 questions. And this question comes up every time. It's like, if I use a scheduler to schedule my posts, will it affect my organic reach? And he insists that it will not now, like, affect your organic reach. I've yet to try it, but when I was talking to clients about content marketing and posting on social media, for me, it was always like, it's much better that you actually get a post out there and have like post schedules, rather than going, oh, I forgot, or I ran out of time.
That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always think 3 days later, I was like, I should have done that. Oh, yeah, I'm a nightmare for it.
Yeah. So whereas like straight away you could be like, right, I'm going to write a post about that, but actually I want it to go out 2 days later.
Yeah.
It is really helpful, rather than you having to remember, or, just having it in your drafts.
Well, these days, those content buckets and picking and choosing could be done with no-code automations.
Oh,
bring
back the Twitter chat hour.
They were well, yeah. I guess one thing to note is, like you said, the Twitter API change. Well, the X API is changed last year, and basically Make.com, Zapier, N8N have all gone, we're not touching it. So you can, because they charge like silly amounts of money to connect to it. And obviously those no-code automation platforms would be the ones that would have to pay for it per user. So they were like, yeah, we're not touching it. But any other platform, we're good to go.
Yeah, okay, we're not bringing back the Twitter chat hour, sorry.
No, we have to put it on Threads or something.
Yeah, oh my God, I love
Threads. But yeah, to get to the automation, I guess, we could, let's say we'll go like super simple. So let's say we got a Google Sheet. And, we can create content. So we could create different posts or post ideas. And we can even get AI to create this for us. If you want to be super lazy, it can then go off and create that Google Sheet for you. But what we can do within these no-code platforms is to link that sheet into the automation and then have it say run every day, and then say, right, well, what post do I need to post today at 10 o'clock? So it would run, it would find that line within that spreadsheet to say, yeah, that's today. Here's the post text. Here's maybe you might have saved like the image to go with it on like Google Drive. So you can say, well, look, here's the share link for that particular image. And then you could then just post it directly, using the native modules within Make or any of the platforms to, your Facebooks, your Instagram, and all that sort of stuff. All of those big platforms, apart from X. We're all in there. Yeah, LinkedIn's there. You can do company and personal posts. There's all sorts.
That's really cool.
For anyone that's ever kind of looked at the API docs for things like, especially Meta, it's an absolute disaster. Trying to figure it out manually, whereas in these no-code platforms, they've already done all of that hard work for you. You've just kind
Amazing.
of got to connect your account and then you're good to go. So
Yeah.
you don't have to reverse engineer anything, thankfully.
Okay.
But
That's
that
good.
could be as simple or as complicated as you want with your content. You could have it creating posts to go on every single platform all at once, and things like that. There's all sorts you can do. I guess going back to your buckets idea, you could have that in there and then have an AI module in there, which would then create a unique post based on that particular content bucket and then send it out to all those platforms. So that's also pretty possible as well.
Okay, that's so good.
Yeah.
And we've got things showing you how to do this within AI Business Club, haven't we? Our membership that is hosted over on Score.
We do, yes. Yeah. So if you've never touched a automation platform, no code in your life, then we take you through how to use make.com from like the very, very beginning. Take you through how to, all of like the common modules that are in there. And then there's a couple of projects in there where we take you through and show you how to build those out as well. So you could, I say we've put like AI, we've got things in there showing you how to use the AI agent systems and things like that, which is maybe a bit beyond like a beginner, but that's in there ready for when you're ready as well.
Yeah. And I think the first thing is it is getting used to how the platforms work. And I feel like once you've done your first automation, it gets easier and easier from there.
It's kind of like eating Pringles, isn't it? Since you pop, you just can't stop. At least that's what I found anyway. I built one and I was like astonished when it worked. So I was like, oh, wow,
Yeah, I do feel like you have a automation addiction.
I do a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, like people have addictions with Pringles and Diet Coke.
Yeah. Well, I built my first automation when we were on holiday. It was one of our dog holidays. And I remember you saying to me, so what on earth are you building? And I was building my first make.com automation.
Yeah, that's how Noel likes to relax, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I spent the time wisely learning a new skill. That's what I put it down as.
Yeah. And of course, Noel's always there as well to hold your hand. If you get stuck, you can ask as many questions as you like. And if you're really stuck, and Noel's got time, he will probably jump on a call with you and talk you through it.
Yeah. There's definitely times where it's easier for me to see it as well as, work through it together. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think you get that in many memberships, do you?
No, not none that I'm part of anyway.
No, none that I've been part of ever either.
Yeah.
But we will leave the link for AI Business Club below for you, or you can just go and search AI Business Club over on Score, and we would love to have you join us, whether you're a beginner or you've done a little bit of automations before, but you just want to maybe improve your skills, or you want to do some trickier automations, then that is definitely going to be the place for you. If you have any questions about this episode, please come and let us know. We have a free LinkedIn group called AI Automations for Business. So if you just search LinkedIn for our group, that'll pop up. But again, we'll leave the link below. Or you can send us an email at hello@makeautomations.ai. And again, we'll leave that email address below. But yeah, we love hearing from you. If you've got any questions, or if there's anything you would like us to do a future episode on or discuss, then yeah, let us know. We're always open to new ideas and things, aren't we, Noel?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Yeah, there's so many different things we could do in this world, that we haven't even thought of yet.
Yeah. So thank you very much for listening to this week's episode. If you've liked it, please give us a like or leave a review. It really helps us get the word out about our podcast. But we will catch you next time for another episode very soon.